So good evening guys, welcome to stages 2 and 3 of the Ladder 9 fire truck. So in this episode we're going to be doing stage 2, which is the rear panel and front right cab door, as well as stage 3, which is the front grille and rear left cab door. So let's jump in, let's have a crack at it. So we have stage 2 here in front of us. I also have the parts from stage 1 or issue 1, pack 1. What do you call it when they all come in a pack? And just as importantly, I have my pink milkshake just for a little bit of a change. So let's go through the parts checklist. So we have got all these wonderful little bags again. Really am happy with these bags. So we have got an outer door panel, and this looks like it's been partly assembled for us, which is quite nice. And you see there you've got, oh look at that, don't know if you can see that window. Let me put my hand there. So there we can see the window going up and down, and then we've got this big hinge. So as I say, it is been partly assembled. Maybe they could have given us the parts and we could have assembled that for them. I don't know, it's up to you. What do you think, guys? So we have an inner door panel, and yes, this is one of those, I can't believe it's not plastic. Sorry, I can't believe it's not metal. That is, believe it or not, that is a metal part. So that's quite an impressive part. We have got fire truck rear panel, and look at that is really nice. So they definitely want to know what the identifying number is, don't they? We seem to get that a lot. We have an inner cab panel. I think the hardest thing about this build is getting them out of the plastic bags. So this is a little piece of painted plastic. Now there is unfortunately a press stud mark there. I am going to be rather critical. Don't know how well you can see that. Not very, but just there. There is a little circle, and that's obviously where it came out of the moulds. If it had come out on this side where it has done there, that wouldn't be so bad. But there's a little one there, so it's a little disappointing. That could be fixed, but you know. Right, so then we have 3 really fiddly parts. We have got the outer door handle, which is this one there. We have got a gear, which is this one there, and we've got a window winder. And then we have 2 tow hooks, which is these 2 pieces here. Now, I've had a quick browse through the PDF instructions. Doesn't look like there's a massive amount to do given the amount of parts we've got, but we'll see what we've got. So we need to start off with our rear panel and our 2 tow hooks, and what we're going to do is we're going to super glue them into these 2 gaps here. So get your super glue ready. I like to squeeze a little bit of glue out onto the piece of waste plastic, and then I'll apply with a cocktail stick. Now these look like they're shaped. They're not shaped. Right, and there is some little defects on them. Little push injector pin marks, I think they're called. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the ejector pin marks on the inside. Like that. So that's how I'm going to glue them in. So the ejector pin marks will be on the inside. Hopefully then they'll get covered up. So now as I'm gluing these, I'm going to tell you a little bit about super glue. You'll have heard me say this before on my other videos, but this might be the first time you're watching my videos. So some people like to think if you put more glue on, it will glue harder. It will be a stronger bond, and that is an absolute myth. Less really is more. Now when you put too much glue on, it does two things. It reduces the increases the chance of squeeze out. So you see there, that's gone in really nicely, but if we put too much glue in, there could be glue along that little join. And the other thing is, it takes longer to dry. Now the bond is no more stronger, so really try to do just enough glue so that any points that are making contact do have a slight layer of glue between them. So because I've got the ejector pin mark in a certain position, I'm having to move the target around to meet up, and then that will take a few seconds to dry. So this should now be enough to test. That's absolutely fine. I would suspect, yeah. Another way to do it is actually you can dip the part into the glue. It's probably not advisable so much with gel because it does have a habit of picking up a big blob, but if you're using thin super glue, you can certainly dip the part into the pool of super glue. Right, I'm going to leave that for a few minutes. I'm not sure if that part there is going to dry so easily. So that stage is steps 1, 2, 3 and 4 done, and that is step 1 done. So the next step is to assemble the door. So we want to be getting this piece, and we want to be getting the door handle, and it says that we need to press this in firmly. Now they are using tweezers on the instructions, and if you feel tweezers are easier, that's absolutely fine. So push the handle into the door in the inner door panel, press firmly until you feel it click in place. Now this, there we go, that clicked nicely in place. So what it essentially is there is you're pushing a square peg through a round hole, and that's why it's difficult to turn. But once it's fully through, it's going to lock in place, but at the same time that handle is still going to turn. So I'm guessing at this point this is what we're going to use to control the window, which is going to be fun, isn't it? So next we want to on the inside here, there we go. So where this door handle has come through, we want to take this small gear, and you'll see that there's a square hole, and that wants to go over the door handle, so that the square peg is now going through a square hole, and that's quite difficult to push in, but once it's in, it's going to stay there. So what they've done is the peg is just very, very, very slightly bigger than the hole, so that as you put it on, it stays on, and that's fine there. So the next step is they want us to apply super glue to these 4 pegs here, and then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing this piece over onto here, and that will go on like so. And do you know what, that's not going to take a lot of effort. So, and that is not a very good fit. That's because that's not on. So there we go, there's the window. I don't know if you can see that window going up and down. It's a little bit difficult showing you with a camera. So it looks like if there is going to be an issue, it's going to be down this side. So this is why I like to do test fits. Right, there we go. So it looks like we've got to really make sure this side is pushed down firmly, and oh, that's a lot easier. So it looks like you don't need to glue it. You might get away with not gluing it. I think I will glue it, and I'm going to do something ever so slightly different, which is that I'm actually going to apply the glue directly from the bottle. Now I do preach about putting glue onto a little piece of plastic, but that's because of control. If you feel confident that you can get the control from the bottle, by all means. I'm actually applying glue into these small holes, and in fact I'm not even going to apply to that hole there because it's so close to the cog. I don't want to lose control. Now if I was gluing along the edge of the door, I would not consider using straight out of the bottle. It's all about the control. If I applied glue on there, you can see I would get squeeze out. By applying glue there, if there's any squeeze out, you're not going to notice. So let's line this peg and this peg and push that in, and yeah, that's still working. So there we go. I tell you what, if I get something dark, you might just see the window better. So there we go. It is quite awkward and fiddly, but obviously if my hand could be reduced down to 1 to 12 scale, that would be just the right size for me to handle. But I'm okay with that. I think that's really good. To be honest with you, windows is not something that I'm going to regularly wind up and down, but that looks a really solid door for what it is. Okay, so on to the next step, which is the inner cab panel, and I can see that it's going to go this way, and it needs to be glued on these 4 tabs there, and those tabs are going to line up with these holes there, and I'm just trying to find them. This is let down by my eyesight. So is that going to go? It doesn't want to go. No, that isn't wanting to go. So there we go. So maybe it was me. There we go. It just needs a little bit of a push. So that's the test fit complete. Now that has gone in really tight. So although it's asked us to glue, I'm gonna not glue it. I don't think that needs gluing. I think that is, I don't know. I really don't. I'm gonna apply a small amount of glue. So I can see where the contact points are, so I'm actually going to glue along in between the pegs, but I'm going to leave this hole there clear because I don't know if that's going to be used for anything. So small dollop of glue there, there, there and there. Tiny bit. In fact, I'm just wicking off any little bit of glue, and I'm getting this layer of glue as thin as I possibly can to avoid any squeeze out. In fact, this last bit I will apply with a cocktail stick. I just want to spread that as thinly as possible. Okay, so we know how it fits, so that's going straight in like that, and that's wasn't incorrect there. That was a good job I double checked, because again another problem here is that, sorry, bear with me one sec. Okay, so my apologies for that. I actually had a delivery driver just arrive, and I had glue on here, so I had to finish the gluing off. So that's now been glued into place, and that is actually the stage complete. So we've got ourselves a really nice door there, really thick and chunky, and a really nice solid piece, and we've got this panel here which I hope will be absolutely fine. But look, that's quite a nice solid hinge. I'm not going to push it too much, but oh sorry, I did actually miss one step, and that's this door lock. So I don't know if you can't really see because it's not a nice shiny chrome, but there's a little dot at the bottom which I assume is perhaps a keyhole, and that actually wants to go downwards. So and it says press firmly, apply drop super glue to the recess of the door handle before pushing the handle into position. This is a D-shaped fitting to ensure the correct fit. So yes, I can see it's got a shape to the actual peg. I don't know how well, yeah, you can just see it there. So that's going to go in. I'm going to do a test fit, and that's upside down. I did not mean to do that. And that's definitely going to need glue because that's going to fall out of place. Yeah, that's not going to go right in on its own. So right, so let's get a little bit of glue, and we have to double check then that this is the right way round, because we could actually make contact with the glue, and if we get it wrong, it's either going to stick in the wrong place, or why can I not get this glue out? That's interesting, isn't it? New glue, new problems. There we go, that's better. Right, so little tiny dab of glue there. Like I said, less is a little bit more, a little bit less. Right, so I can see that the dot was at the bottom. Right, so okay, this is going to be interesting. I need to hold that on my fingertip while I turn this over, and that is in absolutely spot on. So you can see that everything on this fire truck is chunky, and now I'm not an expert on firemen, but I do know that they do wear thick protective clothing, and I know even when I've done my washing up and I've got my marigolds on, you lose a lot of fine detail. So having everything chunky is going to make it so much easier to grab. So if you need to grab that door handle when you've got your big firefighting gloves on, you can. So that's something we've got to look forward to, are these nice big solid chunky pieces. That's not, in real life, that's not going to break in a hurry. So let's just quickly go back to these, because I did have a couple of issues there, and I can see that glue is set, so I'm really happy with that. So what we'll do is we'll put this to one side. We've got our fire hose, we've got our two wheels, and we've got this, and I'm going to pull this open because I do believe we are going to use it in the next stage. So let's get this piece out ready, and if we don't use it, at least we can sit there and admire it. So there we go, and you can't see it there. Right, so on to stage 3, which is the front grille and rear left cab door. So let's get our pieces out. We'll do a quick parts checklist, and we have got an outer door, so we've got another door, and this is going to be easily identifiable because you can see there it's a completely different shaped door from the one that we've just done. I'm going to need a polishing cloth, I think. Oh no, that's okay. I thought there was a bit of a problem because the window moved. Right, so one door, one inner door panel. Oops. Yeah, watch out for the small pieces. So that's looking good. We've got a front grille, and this looked really good in the magazine, and oh yes, I can tell you it looks even better in real life. Look at that, these are really good parts. So this is the front grille and this is the rear grille. So you can see from my finger behind it is a grille, it's see-through. And this is going to be fun, isn't it? This is the Seagrave logo. That's going to be really fiddly to glue on or stick on or whatever we need to do. And then we have got an inner door panel. Oh, do you know what? This is one of those pieces that only just fits inside the bag. I may actually have to wreck the bag to get the part out. No, I can do it. I can do it. So this is the inner cab panel. There's a few defects with the paint there, I'm going to be honest with you. Is that paint or is that a sticker? I think that paintwork is stuck on, because you've got a small bubble there and I think I just moved the bubble. That's interesting, but yeah, there's a little bit of you can't really see it on camera, but I can see there's a bubble there and there. So if I was really pedantic about this, I could rub that paintwork down and repaint it. I think I'll go with it for now. We have another door lock there, we have another cog and another door handle, and I think just looking at those parts, I think we know pretty much what we're going to be doing. So we need to first of all apply a couple of drops of super glue to the back of this Seagrave logo, and we then need to stick this onto here, and that's going to go on like that. And this actually is nowhere near as fiddly as I thought it was. So where the Seagrave logo goes is actually a recess. Can you see that? I don't know if you won't see the recess, but I don't know if you can't hear my fingernail, but this Seagrave logo, let me show you here. If you slide this about, can you see now that the Seagrave logo stays where it is, and that's because it's sitting in a recess. So on that basis, I'm not going to apply super glue to the logo, I'm going to apply the super glue to the actual backing plate, to the front grille. I think that's going to work a little bit better because of the recess, and I'm keeping this glue as thin as I possibly can. That logo is such a thin plate, it really is not going to take any effort whatsoever to stick that down. And also, if the glue is far too thick, it may actually prevent it from laying flat. So what I can do is just, there we go, just move that around, and I suppose I could put a very light grey wash over that. I don't want it dirtied up too much, because I know these fire engines, they were kept in tip-top condition and they were washed so often. The whole idea is that the fire engine is a big shiny clean machine, so I would want a very light wash, just enough to pick up the detail but not enough to make it look dirty. So there's an option for a slight mod there, but that's that step done. So then what we need to do is, on the back we need to place this front grille, and it doesn't look like it's going to go any particular way round. So you can see you've got small cutouts on the side of the grille, and they're going to go into these small tabs there, and all that's going to do, I suspect, not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Right, we may have to just gently push this, bend this. No, okay, so what's actually happened, I didn't notice this until now. So you've got a cutout on each side. This one is slightly bigger than this one, and then this tab is slightly bigger there than it is there. And the reason it didn't go in is simply because I had it the wrong way round. And there, that's gone in nice and simple. How cool is that? This is what I love about the models. It's the, you know, we've got all the whistles and bells, but here we've got a tiny detail, and a lot of people might not notice that detail, but they would certainly notice if it wasn't present. So just like before, we're going to get our door handle and we're going to place it into the inner door panel, and yes, just like before, it's a square hole going in, a square peg going in a round hole, so it's going to be difficult to go in, but we know that once it's gone, if you feel the need to press it, make sure you press it down at the base, don't press on the handle, because that's then going to snap that off. There we go, that handle's gone in absolutely fine, and I think we can guess the next step, which is take this cog, which has got a square hole. We want to line this up and we want to push that over the handle, and it is a difficult push, I will admit that. Make sure it's lined up, and I've got my index finger behind the handle, and make sure it still operates. There we go. And the reason it was a difficult push, I actually accidentally pushed the handle back. There we go. So make sure the operation is good, which it is there. And then the next step is to place glue. Only 3 pegs on this one, but these 3 pegs are going to go over. Yes, look, I've got a bit of a problem with this window. This window is moving sideways, so what's happened there is it's fallen out of the housing a little bit once it's in the housing. So I'm going to do a test fit first, just like I did before, and hopefully, yeah, it's a little bit loose, but yeah, once this door frame is in, it's going to stop the window from coming out of the housing. It's still loose, but the operation is fine. I'm going to let that one go, because although the window is a lot looser than this one, window winding up and down is not something I'm going to do 20 times a day. You know, as we know, once we've built this, we will be playing with it a lot. We know that's going to happen, but once we've settled down with it, it's just going to sit on the shelf, and then occasionally we'll just turn the power on and we'll play with the woo-wahs and the sirens and the, you know, the this, that and the other. So for some reason I'm placing the glue on the pegs. I don't know why I've chosen to do it that way, but I have, and I suspect it won't make a difference. There we go. And I want to make sure that that goes in nice and tight. So there we go, that's gone in fine. And yeah, this window, so do you notice that I'm testing the window operation at every opportunity? Every time I do anything, I give it a little test. The best time for me to find that doesn't work and I need to unassemble it is before the glue is cured dry. So there we go, that's that done. And then the next step is we have 2 pegs, 1 peg, 1 peg, 2 peg. So that's going this way round, and it's going to be 2 pegs. So that wants to go, sorry, did you catch that? So this is going to go on like so, and I can see that there's a screw hole there, and it's lining that first peg up. And do you know what, I'm going to take a bit of a chance here, guys. I do not think this is going to need gluing in. I really don't think it will. I think that there's going to be something coming over here. I think this is obviously a screw hole. I think the reason for the glue is to secure it in place. You know, if I shook that about too much, that could come off there. So I'm going to advise you to have a look at this, and then you decide what you think best. If you want to apply a big thick layer of glue or a thin layer of glue, you go ahead. Please don't not apply glue because I said not to. So yeah, I'm going to call that bit done, and then we just need to finish up with this door lock. So as before, a little D connection, and I'm going to be a bit careful here, and I'm going to apply a bit of glue on the door there, and then making sure this is the correct way round, we're going to pop that over there, and I've maneuvered it with my thumb because that's the way I find it easier. There you go, and that's gone in like a dream. So let's do a comparison with the other one, so we can see that both of the door locks have been applied the same way round. So at least, obviously ideally we want to get these locks the correct way round, but if you did get them the wrong way round, at least if they're level, you know, it won't show so much, but obviously try to get them in correctly. So that is it, guys. That is issue 2 and 3 done. So this is issue 3, and this is issue 2, and then above that we've got issue 1. Let's bring this down a little bit. I'm sorry guys, I've got new camera angles. So once you've been working with a particular setup for a long time, you just know where everything is on the board, but because this is a new setup, it's not something I'm used to yet. So after 3 issues, this is what we've got, and this is really interesting because I said in the previous video that, you know, you get these big chunky pieces in issue 1 to show off the piece. Because we're receiving this in pack by pack format, they don't need to impress us with issue 1. They just need to impress us before we run out of parts in the pack. And I would say I'm impressed. What do you guys think? I think these big red fire engine doors, they're impressive. You've got the logo there, we know what we're dealing with. It just seems a bit odd that one is, I think these are on different sides of the cab, but you know, this front grille is impressive, and I have a feeling what's going to happen is we're going to be assembling lots of little different pieces, and then eventually we're going to come to an issue where it all comes together, and I think that's probably the only way it can be built. In scale modelling, you would call that sub-assemblies. You know, if you're painting figures, you would call that sub-assemblies. Unfortunately, when it comes to part works, it's called lots of tedious little pieces. I don't know if it's worth continuing the build. Maybe that's what we're like as a breed of part work builders, but everybody else is like, yeah, that's the way it is. So long as I get a beautiful big fire engine by the end of pack 12, I'll be happy. So I'm actually going to change my grade. I don't always give a grading for things, but I'm gonna, rather than giving this 10 out of 10 or 100% or 98%, I'm going to give this an A rating. I really am impressed. I think issues 2 and 3 are better than issue 1, mainly because, you know, I don't like wheels. You know, I put up with wheels because it's part of the build. The hose is great, but we've not done anything with it, and we've been given this part that we do nothing with. This is fantastic because we've got functional parts and we've got recognizable parts. We have now reached, if I showed you this and said, what am I building? You know, you could make 100 different guesses. Obviously this might give it away, but if I now gave you these pieces and said, what am I building? You can go, oh wow, it's a fire engine. So you know exactly what we're building. So guys, I shall waffle on no more. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video.